Joyquilts. Today what we're going to do is show you how to reverse a pattern. So we're going to put this little cloud out there. The reason you'd want to reverse a pattern is the quilting is much less dense on the left side than the right side. So when you put it on a quilt, it's going to make it look unbalanced. One way to deal with this is to reverse every other row, but the outcome is basically the same because one side of the design is lighter than the other side as far as quilting stitches go. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. We're going to highlight it, and then we're going to add two more, and then we're going to move these three out of the way. We're going to bring in the design again, and then we're going to highlight that one, and we're going to reverse it and bring in a couple of more. Now basically what we've done is we have three mirror image to each other. One-to-one's going to make it bigger because we want to be able to see what we've got going on there. And then we're going to move it closer to the center. So now what we've got basically is the same design left and right. Now the only difference with this one that you're not going to want is that it's going to stitch out starting in the middle because the green dots and the green circles are the starting points of the stitching. So this is going to be strange. It's going to stitch from the middle to the outside on the right and then the middle to the outside on the left, and it's going to be jumping all over the place. So we really don't want to do that. It's nice to balance the stitching, but not at that cost. So what it's going to do, we're going to change it so it's going to stitch either from left to right or right to left, and the little green dots in the middle will be joined with a slight short little line, so it's going to look fine. It looks really good when we do it this way. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is join the two, and we're going to group them because we want to have them both together as one image. So now they're grouped. We'll bring them back down to the real size of them. Okay, now you can see the green circles in the middle. So it's still going to start on the other side. So now we're going to, or in the middle, we're going to go over to Art and Stitch, which is our digitizing software, and we're going to take it into that program and take it back to artwork. Now the reason we want to take it back to artwork is that that's going to remove all the stitches. So it's not going to know where to start stitching. Now that it's back to artwork, we can connect the design, and what the computer will do is it's going to connect one point to the other, and then it's going to stitch all the way across in a straight line, because for a computer it's not going to make sense to stop and start in the middle. It makes more sense to put that little line in and start at one side and go over to the other side. So that's what it's going to do. So now we have this nice little image. We want to add stitches again. Line stitches and the stitch length of 2 millimeters, which is a normal stitch length. Sorry, I keep hitting it and it keeps jumping. Okay, so now we have stitches again. The next thing we want to do is simulate sewing. This is a really important step, and I really don't try to skip it very often. This will tell if maybe I've hit a couple of buttons inadvertently or whatever, and I'm going to stitch the design over twice or 1.5 times, or something is just not going to look right. So simulating your stitches is a really, really good idea. Okay, there you can see where it switched in the middle. It's pretty seamless. So now it's going to go over and do the left side of the design. Mirror imaging is something that we do a lot of. It makes a nice difference on the quilt. You don't want your quilt to look heavier on one side than the other. Makes the quilting look strange. Okay, so there it is. And it's stitched out. So what we're going to do now is select it again. And then we're going to save it. And we want to save it, we're just going to call it Cloud. Cloud Reverse or REV, that'll be good enough. Okay, so here it is saved as an ANS, Art and Stitch. But now we want to save it as a BQM because we're going to stitch it on our Bernina machine. Save it on this BQM. The current design does not fit the hoop. This message you're going to get every time because this software is also for embroidery. And an embroidery hoop definitely has size restrictions, and this would not fit. But since we're on an embroidery frame, or a quilting frame if you would, we don't really care about the size because we've got 10 feet to not to worry about. So that will be perfect for us. Okay, so now we have both images on the screen, one just landed on top of the other. The top one is the one we're going to want to reject because it starts stitching in the middle, which we really don't want to do. So that's going to go. Now this one is going to start on the right and end on the left, which is fine. If we wanted, we could reverse it. If we wanted to, for some particular reason, to start on the other side, we could do that. Now that that's done, we can take it into the program and we can add different rows. So you can kind of see what it looks like. We can also space it so you can see if you wanted to have a little more space or you like it a little tighter. Depends on how tight you want your quilting to be. So there we have that. Now we can select it again. If we wanted to ungroup it for some reason, we might want to flip every other row upside down. So we could do that as well. And now we could group it back together. And then you have your whole image of what your quilt top is going to look like. And this particular quilt top is 17 inches wide by 21 inches long, which is pretty small. So we could actually go up on here and we could do it at 50 inches. And that's going to apply that. And then we're going to make the quilt top a little bit bigger. And we could fit that on there. So basically now you've got your quilt top all figured out, and all you need to do is quilt. Joyquilts, Facebook, Instagram,